and I am here at...
Oh, reintroduce yourself because I think it just started.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
Hi,
sorry.
everybody. I'm Pastor Susan Strouse. I'm here with Pastor Megan Rohrer at Grace Lutheran Church in San Francisco and online at virtualgrace.org. Hi, Pastor Megan.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good.
Today we thought we might talk about how pastors find support for themselves, especially in times when we might be undergoing some conflict. I mean, the church these days is undergoing some tough times. There's a lot of stress and anxiety in the church today because of shrinking memberships, and then we know all the stuff that's going on in the church. But as that happens, sometimes, we can do some things that perhaps cause some conflicts or disagreements within the church. And how do we deal with that? And that's one topic. But the bigger topic is, how do we find support for ourselves? So I want to talk with Pastor Megan today and see if we can find some ways that we can care for ourselves and care for one another as we go through these times.
Well, it's also a good timing. You might not be watching it during Holy Week, but it's Holy Week now. Week. The purple behind you is a good way to see that. And it's a time when a lot of pastors get tired and stressed out. This is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, in part because one of my favorite things that was an Easter ritual when I was growing up is a ritual probably very few people do. But we always went to my grandma's congregation. Hi, Grandma Darlene. She watches all the videos.
Hi, Grandma.
And my favorite thing that my grandma does at church is, because she goes to a rural congregation, she goes to St. Paul's in Clark, South Dakota, population about 2,000.
Okay.
And they have the late night service on Saturday night. Then they have the early morning service at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a 9 o'clock and then a 10 o'clock. Yeah. Maybe they have fewer than that now, or less than that now. Right. My grandma would go to both the late night service and the early morning service. But what she would do is, at the coffee hour after the sunrise service, she'd sit at a table with the pastor and pretend to have a problem, while the pastor sat like this and took a nap. And so my grandma would just be just so no one would interrupt.
So your grandma was caring for the pastor?
Yes.
Thanks, Grandma. That was awesome.
Isn't that the best?
That should be a thing. So everybody out there, find Grandma Darlene in your congregation and let them know that's how to do it.
That you're super tired, you don't have the bandwidth to talk to people because you have so many services you've done.
Uh-huh.
Also, even just the grace you can give, if the people who go to all of the services, here at Grace, we have 2 Thursday services, a Thursday afternoon hand washing service, a Thursday evening agape meal that has hints of a Passover, but not so many that we're pretending we're Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, we have a noon Good Friday service and an evening Good Friday service. Thankfully, it's one that I do where I read the Stations of the Cross and show different masterpieces of artwork, so at least I don't have to come with a new sermon each time.
Yep.
Saturday, we have the Beatles Mass, which is a completely different sermon for kind of a contemporary, younger Saturday afternoon crowd than it is for the Sunday morning Easter worship crowd. And so each of those, that's in a normal Sunday, we would do one sermon, and I do extemporaneous sermons, so I don't write them. And so that's a lot of pressure to put on the Holy Spirit to come up with a new thing. And there are some people who are beloved church people who come to every single one of them. So if there's a noon service and a 7 o'clock service,
you gotta have something new.
They might come to both.
Yeah,
and so
no repeats.
The grace that you can have just caring for your pastor, let at least one of their 8 sermons this week suck and don't bring it up. Not wait to bring it up later. Just don't bring it up. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You'll get another chance next year. Yes.
Have some grace.
Yes.
Have some grace for your pastor.
If you know your pastor well, a cool thing you can do is bring them self-care items.
Like what? What would you
so I love felt tip pens.
You need felt tip pens.
I have a whole bunch
You
in my
need
office
felt
right now.
tip pens.
But felt tip pens are my go-to for like when I have to do boring paperwork.
Uh-huh.
Because I love pens.
I do too.
What's your? I like the rollerball
I like
pens.
the gel pens.
Pastors
Oh,
love
yes.
pens a lot. It's
Yeah.
a common thing.
Medium point black.
No
Yes.
pastor's gonna get mad at you for giving them a massage gift certificate.
Oh, yeah. Spa day.
Yeah.
Spa day.
As long as it's not a like handmade certificate that's like, I'm going to give you a massage, pastor.
No. For silk.
Like a thing off somewhere else, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then don't pressure them. Don't ask how long it takes them to use it because they're going to use it.
Absolutely.
But it's going to fit into the flow, right? Yeah. Knowing their favorite coffee drink, soy hot chocolates, mochas, chai lattes.
Oh, yeah. With almond milk.
Almond milk, yes.
Self-care.
Knowing their favorite go-to snack.
Reminding them to take a day off after Easter. Did they
a
take
week
their
off.
I know, a week off.
Yes.
Make sure they take their time off.
Yes. Be willing, like what if, because my grandma did it in person, but you could say, Pastor, will you put an hour of pastoral care time on your calendar, but then not visit me?
Do me a favor, don't visit me.
Do me a favor, don't
and do
visit me.
Do yourself a favor,
right?
Don't visit me.
My pastoral care with you this week is going to be to like care for you.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
That would be awesome.
I like that. So easy.
Yeah, some of those are like easy things you can do with your pastor or for yourself. You can have people set up who do those things for you. But I have something called an accountability partner. It's a pastor who lives in a different synod.
Okay.
Far enough away that any story I talk about in pastoral confidence with them on the phone. So it's under the realm of confession, though it's not a formal absolved kind of thing. So it's a person far enough away that they're not going to know the names. They're not connected to other pastors I might be grumpy with that week. But it's a venting partner.
Yeah.
And it's mutual. So when they're having a really hard time in their congregation, they call me, and I just listen without judgment. I don't offer any solutions unless they're asked for. And that person is also, if there's a really lot of conflict, like as a transgender pastor, I've had to have things like investigations for stalking, or I get death threats occasionally, like online or from people. And so this is a person who has a copy of my will, who lives far enough away from my house, who would know if something happened and could just know my medical contact information.
That's a good idea.
Or if I have something that's difficult in my own family, I can talk to them about relationship stuff. I can talk to them about my kids, but they know all the stressors that I have in my life.
Yeah.
And when they see that I have too many stressors being stressed at the same time, they'll call me and say, "Did you eat this week?
Yep.
Did you?
How are you sleeping?
When's your next vacation?" And this is also a person that I have more than one of them. It's nice to have more than one accountability pastor, because if like one of my pastors is really good at like just being firm on your decision. Like this pastor is just like, no, it's the right thing to do it. And so when I'm feeling like kind of waffly, like it's helpful in like hiring decisions or like a policy or particularly like boundary stuff. Like, you've got to have window in your door so that people can tell you're not up to funny business at your church. Yeah. She's just very good at like, that's the way it is. You just do it.
Yeah.
And I call that person when I need to feel like I have the backing to like be firmer. And I have another person that I call who's just gonna like check in on my feelings. And that person is wonderful, right? And it's mutual because it goes back and forth. I have another person that I check in on who's really smart about like academics and church politics. Like, would it make your bishop mad if blah, 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 blah? And do you care because here's the ways you can do something else, right? And so I think it's good to have different kinds of accountability people. If you're a big thinker and you need a feeler to kind of help give you a perspective on the other side,
So it might not always be good to have somebody who's just going to agree with you. That you might need somebody
Sometimes
who's
you need someone who is going to agree with you when all your stressors are going.
Yeah.
When you're super in the midst of conflict and it feels like a lot of people are ganging up on you, you might need someone to agree with you for a little bit, just so you feel like you're
absolutely
not crazy.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do is I have a rule that I started a long, long time ago, and it's how you get through discerning whether or not feedback is helpful or unhelpful, because I get a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Everything from how I dress to what I say, not just in a congregation, just in the whole world. The internet is a giant feedback blender.
Yeah.
That sometimes is really helpful, showering love like a sprinkler, and other times showering other stuff like that poltergeist kid, right? And so,
nice visual.
Well, but so my rule for myself is, because I'm a big, I like to learn things and I like to research. And so my rule of thumb is, if I get the same feedback 3 times, I always improve that area of my life. Doesn't matter if I agree with that person, doesn't matter if I'm mad about it. You can always find a way to improve your life.
You got to pay attention to
in
the
that
rule
way.
of 3.
Right?
Good advice.
And it's good when you've got one and you need to just send it off.
I think it's great to have that sort of variety of people that you're having as accountability partners, and that you're that person for other people too. I definitely found the benefit of having, I didn't call them accountability partners, but that's really what they were in times of going through conflict, of making sure. I didn't even know it at the time that this is what I was doing, but it was, and I learned that how important it was to have go-to people, that when I had to do something that was particularly difficult. And we all hopefully have learned about good boundaries and healthy family systems, and how we have to do things in the church that sometimes are hard in confronting bad behavior or helping to create a healthy congregation where people are treating one another with respect and things are being done in a good way. We've all gone to those conferences and we've read the books, but when it comes down to actually doing it, it gets hard. And I know I went to all of the family systems conferences, and they would always talk about being the non-anxious presence. Okay, great, but we would always ask, how do you do that? How do you not be anxious? And I never got a good answer, frankly. Never ever got a good answer. So I finally came up with saying, it's not about being the non-anxious presence, it's about being the non-reactive presence. Because I'll tell you what, I'm still anxious inside. When I have to confront somebody or challenge somebody or do something hard, I'm like this emotional wreck inside. But outside, this is what I need to do, and I found that I can then get up in church on Sunday morning and be what I need to do, but inside I'm having a heart attack. But I've discovered that if
Call 911 if you're having a heart attack.
No, not really. Metaphorical heart attack. Found that I then would go immediately after the confrontation to a colleague that I knew was going to pretty much, not give me advice or anything else, but just kind of, do the poor baby kind of thing, and just be supportive and say, you did the right thing.
Right.
This is the right thing to do.
Right.
And I'm sorry it's being so hard for you. And that gave me the wherewithal. I also found that the Psalms, singing
Isaiah,
singing the Psalms after I would leave a difficult situation, just sort of singing or saying some of those great Psalms about the Lord is my strength and my salvation, my rock, all of those things about give me strength, that's where I would find it. Yeah.
I think there's also other times when you really need a subject matter expert. So knowing what extra skills other people of faith or other people have. So there are times when I just need to talk to other trans pastors. Right? Because there's people who have only had the same experiences as you, and you just need to narrow your vision to not feel so alone. Or you need to speak to other female-bodied pastors because they get questions about what earrings they wore and why, right? And or you need to talk to. There's a priest that I talk to a lot who used to be an IRS auditor, so you can ask like legit tax questions too, like who used to be a banker. There's the dean of our conference I think he has a master's in business. And so to be able to ask subject matter experts about things where you really need a professional to help you, like HR experts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
even
can be
talking
helpful.
about people who are women, female-bodied, whoever you need to be talking to, just even if it's not so much for information, just being around people who understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
You know.
And sometimes that's a therapist.
Sometimes it is, but
right?
It is sometimes, absolutely.
Or a partner, or a kid,
Well, sometimes it has to be a therapist because it might be too hard, too much to put on a partner. Or, you really got to take care of that kind of stuff. But having those places to go where you really need somebody who understands, who gets you. Got to have people who get you.
Yeah. Well, and I'm an introvert and an internal processor. And so people might have noticed I do a lot of projects around the church. Part of that is because I want the church to be a beautiful space. I think sometimes I'm planning for the people who are going to space out from my sermon to still get a sermon, right, in the visuals that are around them. And as an internal processor, I need time to figure out what's my vision, what's my sermon going to be, what's my way, what's the faithful way through this conflict, what's the way that I can love people where they are, even if it's different than how I loved them a few years ago. And so I think intentionally having a gigantic art project, if you're an introvert, gives you the time and the space that you need. We've been working on our garden every Saturday for months now, and it's such a wonderful time because you're around other people, but it's a lot of quiet time with people. And so you have a thought and then you share it, but it's not the same as if you sat down and had coffee and the expectations that you're always figuring things out.
Right,
and so I think that's a really interesting
Well, that brings up a really good
way
point
to do
too, because so many pastors are introverts.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't always well known.
Right.
In fact, I know that when I was going through seminary and we did the Myers-Briggs test and I came out as an introvert, and the person doing the thing was saying about how it was going to be very difficult for the introverts to be pastors, which I thought was kind of rude. Thanks a lot.
Professional extrovert, right?
Well, yeah, of course. People don't
fun
believe
at
in
coffee hour,
Of
but
course, I can function as an extrovert, but then I go home and I'm wiped out. But understanding introverts, a lot of us are introverts, and understanding that Sunday after church, don't call, just don't. We're taking a nap. Or what we need to do.
Yeah.
That just kind of understand that we're not always going to be. Well, I mean, we will function as extrovert people and enjoy it. It's not a fake kind of thing. We enjoy being with people, but then we do need our downtime. Yeah.
And the same thing is true for conversations with people within a conversation, because there are some people who want a big congregational meeting to share their feelings, and there are other people who just want a one-on-one time at a restaurant where I can chat with them. And so I think just having lots of diverse ways that people can provide feedback, that you can be good at accepting feedback, that you can take feedback seriously, and then the ability to take really good vacations.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think that's one thing I've learned how to do pretty well, is take good vacations. And there's two reasons I'm able to do that. One is that I pay for most of the things in our congregation and then get reimbursed. And I use a frequent mile credit card. And I use those frequent flyer miles to be able to go on cool vacations. And I have like a list of places I would love to go. I research what's on sale during the time I have free time, or like where is the exchange rate so great that once I get there, it doesn't cost very much to eat and, you know, stay in a hotel. And then I also like write my prayer books while I'm there, which for me is self-care, to be able to get the prayers out of myself and kind of onto a page. But then I've worked while I was in that place. And
but that's another point, is finding out the thing that is self-care for you might not be something.
Right.
See, that sounds like work to me. But for you, it's a self-care thing. Something I might consider to be kind of fun to do. You might think, well, that's ridiculous. I would never do that. But you need to find the thing for you.
Scuba diving with sharks.
Oh, no.
Because they can't talk to you.
No.
And they don't want to eat you, despite what Shark Week says.
Going out to dinner at a nice seafood restaurant. That would be
No, I'd rather get it delivered and not go out to eat.
Oh, delivered is nice too.
Yeah.
Yes. But find your thing.
Yeah.
Find your self-care thing, and
Find your
coloring.
thing.
I love to color.
Yes.
That's such a relaxing, and it can be a spiritual practice in itself. Mandalas. I love mandala coloring books. They're my favorites to do because they actually are a spiritual practice. You know, the labyrinth, the science of the labyrinth is that even doing a finger labyrinth, tracing the pattern of the labyrinth, does the same thing in your brain as walking it. It's the same thing of connecting you to center, to your center, and for relaxation and for spiritual connection. So I think the same thing is true of mandalas, that symmetrical pattern, and in the coloring of that pattern, I think is the same kind of effect, a spiritual centering and relaxing too. So great practice.
Well, that's just a couple of things that we came up with.
Breathe.
Breathe.
Breathing is really good too.
Yeah.
Breath exercises. Go back to our Me Too Mass and look at the
Oh, yeah.
breathing exercise that Megan Fensky did with us, and do that. That will help too.
Yeah. And there's a really great book by Kate Bornstein. It's called like 101 Alternatives for Freaks, Geeks, and Other Outcasts. The alternatives to suicide. But what's lovely about that book is that it gives you just a million different types of self-care. Some of them are dangerous self-care, some of them are not dangerous. Some of them are great for your spirit, some of them are less great for your spirit. Some of them are safe, and some of them are less safe, right? So
Unsafe self-care?
yeah, there are some people who find pleasure in things that are painful to other people, right? And the theme is that anything that is not suicide is a better choice. I bring that up here because self-care is whatever self-care is for you. And anything that's less stressful than the thing that's stressing you out is self-care.
Self-care.
Right? So if it's stressful to go on a vacation, but less stressful than not going on vacation, it's sort of self-care, right? You don't have to find the perfect no-stress thing.
During Holy Week, though,
Yeah.
it's not self-care.
It might be self-care, but that doesn't mean you get to keep your... Ooh. Now let's talk about what goes bad if you don't have good self-care. Susan got hives.
I got hives. Yeah.
I had an internship site where you had to hold your arms up like on Survivor and read the entire history. The entire history of the world. The entire history of the world. While a child who was an acolyte had to hold the like world's heaviest book up that you read the entire history of the world from. And they were little, and it took like 40 minutes or something, and the book just kept getting lower and lower and lower, and my back went out.
Oh no.
Like on a Wednesday or a Thursday at the beginning of Holy Week, and it was like one of those places where you're going to do a service just forever. I got a lot of pain meds that year, and the doctor said that I would have a trippy Easter. But I didn't take all of the pain meds.
I had a trippy Easter after the hives. Yeah.
Yeah, but just pay attention because there are a lot of body postures that you will do in very heavy robes if you're in that kind of space that really could be survivor challenges. So stretch, get massages, take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Fix a simple thing like fixing the height of the pulpit so you don't have to hunch or you don't have to get on your tippy toes. Like a simple thing that you could just fix like that. That could just change the way your body is. This altar behind me got moved down about 2 inches, and I stopped having back pain after
How about that?
the communion.
How about that? Yeah.
Because it was finally like the right height where I
height.
didn't have to stoop or.
I find that with pulpits or lecterns in churches, I prefer actually a music stand because I can adjust it.
Yeah.
Because so many, they're either way high, and I'm a tall person,
Yeah.
they're way up here or they're way down
Yep.
here, and it's just not comfortable. So
Yeah.
music stands are best.
But
So-
the moral of the story is pay attention to your body.
attention.
Pay attention to the like plethora of self-care that's out there in the world. Get yourself some accountability partners.
Yeah, and know that we care about you.
We super
We
care about you.
Have a wonderful,
Yeah.
safe, holy week, blessed holy week.
That's right.
And then take a day off.
And if you're too stressed out to make it through, or you don't have someone to vent to, DM me. Direct message me, direct message Pastor Susan.
Yep, we're here.
We'll send you some prayers. We'll give you our phone number.
Send you some
Be in
chocolate,
community
something.
because
We're here.
at least 2 people are willing to
We got to be here
let you
for
vent.
each other, right?
That's
Gotta be here
right.
For each other.
Well, we love you. God
love
loves
you.
you. No matter what happens, you're going to get through Easter.
Yep. Blessings.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.